Hey guys! I've been thinking a lot about Harry Potter recently, and so that got me thinking about the Horcruxes in specific. They're such an integral part of the story, so, spoilers. A Horcrux is a thing that contains a piece of your soul, mainly for Voldemort, because it's the entire focus of the 7th book, as well as most of the focus of the 6th book. So, since he had 7 Horcruxes, I thought about what order they should go in. And when I looked at some other videos on YouTube, I came to one conclusion. Most of them are wrong. Like, really wrong. So here it is. The top 7 Horcruxes for Voldemort. Well, I guess you could say just all of them, right? Together, right? Yeah, you could say that. Things I judged for this were what was turned into a Horcrux, how is it hidden, where exactly was it located, and how hard was it to destroy? What special properties did it have that maybe made it a better Horcrux than the rest? Okay. Number 7. Number 7, we have Tom Riddle's diary. I mean, honestly, this is like the worst idea for a Horcrux ever. Here, let's have something which I've stamped my name onto, okay? And then put a little piece of my soul into it so that one day my teenage self will come back freaking everybody out. Especially since, despite the fact that I am more powerful than your average wizard, I'm still only a teenager, and I could probably still be taken down. This kind of is the worst Horcrux he ever created, mostly because of its greatest weakness. We see that the diary is destroyed by basilisk venom, as are most Horcruxes. And this one just chooses to spend its time down in the Chamber of Secrets right next to the thing who can destroy it. Like, that's a great idea, isn't it? I feel like, as this was his first Horcrux, there is some leeway that could be taken as well. He didn't know what he was doing yet, which is actually an excuse that Dumbledore gives as to why this Horcrux is just so much different than all of the rest. Number 6. In 6th place, we have Marvolo Gaunt's ring. Now, this is a pretty interesting thing to turn into a Horcrux. It plays an important double role as not only a piece of Voldemort's soul, but also as a Deathly Hallow. The other half of the focus in Book 7 is dedicated to those, so it's really interesting that Voldemort had the solution to never die, and then just stuck it in a hole. This is really an important artifact, as most people probably couldn't take it back all the way to Voldemort. But for those of you who know his lineage, as did Dumbledore, presumably Slughorn, and a couple others, it would be then possible to find out that, hey, maybe there's something going on here. And he just left it at the Gaunt's last residency. Like, what if someone had been like, I want to put something where this shack is? Sure, I think, muggles can't do that, but what's to stop a wizard going, well, there's already enchantments here. Might as well build a summer house. And then they just, probably find the thing, and then it would be bad. Now, of course, this actually is an important thing, because this one has more protection around it than the diary. We see that when Dumbledore wears it, he becomes weaker, and he would have died if it weren't for the magic of Severus Snape. And again, we are supposed to presume that he made this one relatively early on, as he's wearing the ring in the memory that Slughorn gives to Harry. But Voldemort is going to get better at hiding Horcruxes. Well, roughly soon. Number 5. Coming in at number 5 is Nagini the Snake. This is when the Horcruxes really start to become good, but Nagini has a couple things which I feel like push it to the back of this list. For one, it's still heavily connected to Voldemort. I mean, it is his personal snake, and he just lets it chill out with him all the time. The Death Eaters are constantly seeing the snake, but at the same time, they're watching it do bad things, like eating people, which apparently is Nagini's favorite thing to do. So, what really puts it at the bottom? just the fact that Voldemort doesn't constantly watch it. He only becomes afraid for the snake's life when he realizes how good Harry is at hunting these Horcruxes down. I mean, Voldemort doesn't even realize that Harry Potter knew about them, and most of them have been destroyed. But up until then, Nagini just basically has free reign, allowed to explore the manor in Book 4, allowed to roam in the Ministry of Magic in Book 5. And it even impersonates a very famous witch. I mean, I don't know about you, but if there's like a giant historic person living in Godric's Hollow, probably gonna visit her maybe sometime, and maybe I might realize something isn't up, you know? But that all being said, Nagini is very powerful. We see in Book 5 that her venom is quite different than most snakes. In fact, it takes a lot longer for the healers to heal Arthur than it should normally take for a snake bite. But all of that really means is that Nagini is just a slightly more dangerous snake with a piece of soul inside. Not that great. Number 4. Coming in at number 4 is the locket. Now, this item is usually at the top of most, Horcrux ranking videos, but I don't see why. I mean, sure, this thing is very, very well protected. For one, Voldemort puts it at a place that I bet probably he can barely even remember, and then makes it so you can't find the thing without spilling blood, and then you have to know there's a boat, go across the lake, drink a potion that makes you relive your worst nightmares, and then, once you finally have the locket, you still have to find a way to escape in Fury. Wow. I mean, you must have to really hate Voldemort to get at this Horcrux. The thing is, more than a couple people know about it. Dumbledore finds it. Not only Dumbledore, but Regulus Arcturus Black. Yeah, remember? The one they get in Book 6 is not the correct locket. Regulus and Creature went and got it way before the story ever starts. In fact, the locket is mentioned in Order of the Phoenix. Harry and Sirius Black and everyone else just decide to throw the thing away. But since Creature cares so much about destroying the thing, he finds a way to keep it. Also, this is one that kind of attacks you when you wear it, similar to the diary. It makes you full of anger and bitterness and hatred, so that's why they keep having to switch it out in Book 7, as well as making a final plea for its existence by taunting Ronald Weasley when he's holding the sword ready to strike the final blow that will destroy this Horcrux. Now, I know this Horcrux seems pretty awesome, especially since if you don't know it's a Horcrux, you're not going to want to destroy it. It belongs to Salazar Slytherin. That thing is literally priceless. I do, however, think that the other 3 items I haven't mentioned are worth being above it. Number 3. Coming in at number 3, we have Ravenclaw's Lost Diadem. Now, a lot of people think that this one shouldn't deserve a place so high on the list because of where it's hidden. I, on the other hand, think that the place that it's hidden is just genius. It's assumed in Book 7 that the reason Voldemort put the diadem in the Room of Requirement is because he thought he was the only one to know that that room existed. But I seriously doubt that's why he left it in there. I think he left it in the Room of Requirement because he realized everybody knew about that room. Or, well, a lot of people did anyway. And at any rate, nobody who is noble enough to go hunting around Horcruxes is going to need to do something like hide an item in Hogwarts Castle. For instance, Dumbledore himself does not even realize that the Room of Requirement is a real place within the Hogwarts Castle until Book 4. And in case that seems like, okay, well, he's a very busy guy, Fred and George Weasley discover the Room of Requirement before Albus Dumbledore does. He's too noble to need to hide anything within the confines of Hogwarts. He didn't even realize the room was a thing. That's right. The guy who was hunting down Horcruxes longer than anyone else had one literally in his castle and didn't realize it. Why? Because it was such a good place to hide it. And plus, again, similar to the locket, it is a artifact from a founding father of Hogwarts. I mean, if you found something which belonged to Ravenclaw in the castle, would you necessarily think that was weird? Sure, it's going to be weird that it's in the room of requirement, but at the same time, that diadem being there makes a lot of sense. So that's why I put it this high on the list. But it is still outstripped by the final 2 items yet to be listed, including number 2. Alright, the problem with doing any ranking list is kind of like saying, okay, here's everything in a set, and I'm going to place them in an order. And by the end, most people just care about the order, more or less, than they do care about why they're in the order that they're in. But I know none of you were probably expecting me to put one of these Horcruxes in the top 2, which is why, at the same time that this video is being uploaded, I will be working on another video explaining why I think that Horcrux is just so awesome. So, without further ado, number 2 is Helga Hufflepuff's cup. This is like the perfect Horcrux, people. I mean, come on. He entrusted it to Bellatrix Lestrange. She is literally the most loyal servant he ever had. She tried to find him when other people, even other people he entrusted Horcruxes to, didn't do the same. And when she got caught, she didn't deny it. She was perfectly fine going to Azkaban for him, because she knew that he would come back, break her out, and award her above anybody else. Which he did. I mean, that is insane. But we aren't even certain that he told her to keep the cup in a Gringotts vault. That's just where she puts it. But that is what makes all the sense. Because Gringotts isn't necessarily a bank. I mean, these things are vaults. Everybody's putting all their most precious things in these vaults. They're an old wizarding family of pure blood who happen to have a priceless artifact from one of the founding members of Hogwarts. Of course they're going to keep it in the safest place possible. A Gringotts vault. Which is guarded by a frickin' dragon. Not only that, but we have seen time and time again, goblins could care less what happens to wizarding kind. They're focused on other things. Like running the wizarding world, basically. I mean, imagine what they could do considering they control the only wizarding bank in the world. Yeah, all those powers, they get rejected all the time. Something tells me the only reason they became bankers is because once they truly know that the wizarding kind is dependent on goblins, there's probably gonna be another rebellion. Alright, and as I've said before, you probably already know what's coming, but let's go on in to number 1. Number 1 is Harry Potter. Now, as I've already said, this is getting its own separate video. Not necessarily because I want you to watch another video, but because I honestly think that this is so important and there has been so much information and facts I have gathered as to why Harry Potter is the best Horcrux that it's going to take that much time to convince you of what I have just known. Now, I haven't seen anybody really talk about how it's the best one, and in fact, I posted a theory about it in the comment section of iFunny once, and everybody who read it seemed to be blown away by the thing because not a single person has pointed out a flaw in my theory yet, and because I don't have that many people looking at my iFunny account, I think I might be one of the first people to ever talk about this. You're going to hear about this, maybe for the first time, from me. Why Harry Potter is probably the ultimate source of power for Voldemort to stay immortal. Until next time, stay awesome.